Welcome back to Anne's NotebookLM. Today we are going to tackle a pretty radical idea, one that's backed up by a surprising amount of science and history. What if I told you the secret to being more productive, more creative, and yeah, even more successful isn't about working harder? What if it's about working less? Let's dive into the powerful case for rest.
So let's just be honest. We live in a culture that is absolutely obsessed with the grind, right? Being busy has become a weird status symbol, and feeling exhausted is somehow seen as a sign of commitment. But is this constant hustle really the best path forward? Well, it turns out this is a really deeply flawed idea.
I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's the modern executive mindset in a nutshell. And you hear it all the time. People bragging about the 4 a.m. emails, the skipped vacations. It's almost like this unspoken competition to see who can burn out the fastest, all based on this totally mistaken belief that more hours automatically means better results.
And here's the thing. This is not a new problem. This isn't something that just popped up with smartphones and startup culture. Nope. Way back in 1899, the philosopher William James saw the exact same thing happening. He called it a national habit of breathlessness and tension, and he realized that people weren't just overworked, they were actually proud of it.
And James saw the central irony immediately. This frantic, stressed-out way of living doesn't actually help us get more done. It does the complete opposite. All that stress actively gets in the way of us doing our best work. So, if the grind isn't the answer, what is?
Well, that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, the incredible paradox of rest. To get this, we have to completely rethink the relationship between working and, well, not working.
You know, we're taught to think of work and rest as opposites, like a battle. A zero-sum game where any time spent resting is time stolen from work. But the real secret of the world's most creative and productive people is that they see them as partners. Work and rest are two sides of the very same coin. You really can't have one without the other. A really powerful way to think about this is to picture a wave in the ocean. The peak of that wave, that's your moment of intense, focused work. We'll call that the crest. But here's the thing about waves. A crest is physically impossible without the trough, that low point of recovery and rest. One literally creates the other.
And let's be super clear. We are not talking about just crashing on the couch and binge watching a show. This is about something called deliberate rest. It's an active, strategic practice. It's about choosing activities that truly recharge you and give your subconscious mind the space it needs to keep working on tough problems in the background.
Okay, so this all sounds nice in theory, right? But does it actually hold up in the real world? Well, when you start digging into the daily routines of some of history's greatest minds, a truly shocking and really consistent pattern starts to emerge.
4 hours, that's it. Across different fields, different centuries, the sweet spot for deep, concentrated, creative work seems to be around 4 hours a day. Not 8, not 10, not 12, 4. And listen, we are not talking about slackers here. This list includes absolute giants. We're talking about Charles Darwin, who completely changed our understanding of biology, the amazing mathematician G.H. Hardy, the physicist Henri Poincaré, even a founding father like Thomas Jefferson. These were not lazy people.
Just take a look at Charles Darwin's daily schedule. It is wild. His day wasn't packed at all. He worked in 3 focused bursts of about 90 minutes each. And the rest of his time? It was filled with long walks, reading his mail, taking a nap, and spending time with his family. This was one of the most ambitious scientists in history, and he designed his entire life around rest.
And this isn't just some weird quirk of old-timey geniuses. A famous study of elite violin students in Berlin found the exact same thing. The very best students, the ones who were going on to have amazing careers, they practiced in focused sessions that added up to no more than 4 hours a day. Any more than that, and they risk burnout and injury. So, the obvious question is, if you're only working for 4 hours, what are you doing with the rest of your day? Well, this is where that whole idea of deliberate rest comes into play. It's not about doing nothing, it's about active recovery.
Walking is a perfect example. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard said this, but he was far from the only one. Countless creative people, from authors like Charles Dickens to innovators like Steve Jobs, have used walking as an essential tool for thinking. For them, a walk isn't an interruption from the work. The walk is the work.
And to understand why that is, check out this classic model of how creativity works. You start with preparation. That's the hard, focused work where you gather all the information. But then comes the crucial next step,
Incubation. That's when you step away and let your subconscious take over. That's what's happening on the walk. It creates the perfect conditions for illumination, the aha moment, which you can then take back to your disk to verify.
Another powerful form of active rest is the strategic nap, and maybe nobody in history was a bigger champion of the nap than Winston Churchill. Think about this. Even during the Blitz, when bombs were falling on London, he made sure to take his daily 1 to 2 hour nap. It was non-negotiable. He swore it was the secret to his incredible energy, saying it allowed him to have 2 working days in one.
All of these examples, from Darwin's walks to Churchill's naps, they all point to the same powerful idea. Rest isn't just a passive thing that happens when you collapse from exhaustion, it's actually a skill you can cultivate. Think about it. Just like you can practice and get better at your job, or a sport, or a musical instrument, you can actually get better at resting. Learning which activities truly recharge you and then making them a non-negotiable part of your day, that's the whole game. That's deliberate rest. It's about being just as intentional with your recovery as you are with your work.
And there's some fascinating neuroscience that backs all of this up. It turns out when your mind wanders, when you're on that walk or taking a nap or even just staring out a window, your brain isn't off. It's actually firing up a powerful system called the default mode network. This is basically your brain's creative engine, connecting ideas and solving problems, all while your conscious mind gets to take a little break.
So when you boil it all down, it comes to this. Your schedule is a choice. You can design a life that leads to burnout, or you can design a life that leads to breakthroughs. And the big difference between the two is learning how to integrate deliberate rest.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. I want you to take a hard look at your own calendar, your own daily routines. Are they structured just to check off boxes and get stuff done? Or are they actually structured to create the conditions for your best, most innovative, and most meaningful work? If this topic has captured your interest and you'd like to dive deeper, the book is called Rest: Why You Get More Done When You Work Less by Alex Soojung-Kim Pang. Thanks so much for tuning in.